Helena is an astronaut who is 20 years old. She has spent almost all of her life in a rocket called Orbiter 9. Scientists on Earth have sent her on a journey to the claimed livable world Celeste because of things like overpopulation, global warming, and pollution. Helena's parents brought her there when she was a baby, and that's where they raised her. But 3 years ago, a problem with the technology led the Orbiter 9's air supply to run out quickly. So her parents made the hard choice to do the impossible so that their daughter could have enough air to get to the nearest base. So Helena has been alone on the spaceship for the last 3 years. The things she does every day are feeding her plants, working out, checking on her health, and thinking about her parents. One day, the alarm in the spaceship goes off, which scares Helena because it's the first time she's seen something like this. She goes to the control room right away to check, where she finds that a shuttle has joined her spaceship. It seems that her call for help has finally been heard. Helena runs to the door, and when it opens, an engineer named Alex walks in. She is both surprised and happy to see him because she hasn't talked to anyone in 3 years. Alex introduces himself and starts to look at the breathing system, but Helena can't take her eyes off of him. This could be because she has never seen a man her age before. A few hours later, when Alex was still fixing things, Helena asked him to dinner, and he said yes. Later at dinner, Helena keeps asking a lot of questions, but Alex doesn't seem to be interested. He just says that he needs to finish his job and go back to his station. The next day, Alex fixes the breathing system and starts getting ready to leave. That night, Helena sneaks into his room while he is sleeping and gets on top of him. Alex wakes up and tells her to stop looking while she is still there. But Helena, who has lived alone her whole life, says that she might not see another person for another 20 years. Then she kisses him slowly. The next morning, Alex packs up all of his things and leaves without even saying goodbye to Helena. When he gets out of the spaceship, he goes into a strange tunnel and then goes upstairs. He comes out of what looks like a bunker in the middle of the woods, which is very strange. Here, we find out that the Orbiter 9 is not, in fact, a rocket, and that the whole thing is being set up on Earth. In the next scene, Alex gets in his truck and goes through what looks like a secret location in the woods. We can see that there are more bunkers like Helena's, and the whole thing is called Project Orbiter. Alex soon gets to the door, which is strongly watched by military people. That night, he goes to the base of operations to meet Hugo, who is in charge of the project. Hugo pulls out his computer and shows Alex some numbers. The numbers show that there are 10 orbiters. He says that things are going well and that the real launch to Celeste could happen in the next 20 years if everything keeps going at the same pace. Even though the news is good, Alex is upset because he is worried about the 10 test subjects who are being kept alone in the orbiters. But Hugo tells him that it is the right thing to do to kill 10 people for the good of all people. Alex is going home at night when he hears on the news that it has been 5 years since the Celeste spaceship went down. On that fatal night, just after leaving the Earth's surface, a sudden technical failure happened on the rocket carrying 207 people. Because of this, the plane crashed and everyone on board died. Alex is revealed to be the head engineer of the spaceship. Since the accident, he has been filled with guilt and sadness because several people died and humanity took a big step back in its goal to reach Celeste. Alex meets his therapy, Sylvia, the next morning. During their meetings, Sylvia uses a very modern computer. With this screen between them, people on both sides can't see each other and can't hear each other clearly either. All they can see is a computer-made wolf that moves its face like them. Alex can't keep his sadness a secret any longer, so he tells Sylvia about his job and how he feels bad for the 10 test subjects. Alex becomes more and more worried as time goes on. He watches movies and live feeds of Helena all the time, which makes it seem like he can't get her out of his thoughts. Then one day, he chooses to take a chance on everything. He gets in his car and drives over to the place. At the same time, inside the Orbiter 9, Helena is getting her usual checkup when the warning goes off again. Helena is surprised by this because her spaceship is far from any outposts. Soon, the front door opens, and Alex walks out dressed in a casual way. He tells her right away that they are not in a rocket and that they need to get away. But Helena is so scared that she doesn't say a word. Alex pulls out a secret camera and a microchip that was put inside Helena to track her important organs in order to prove his point. He also tells her he's doing this to protect her. Helena is still shocked, but she agrees to go with Alex because she likes him. Alex hacks the camera feed and posts an old recording of Helena before they leave, so that no one will notice that they're gone. After this, the two people leave the Orbiter 9. Alex then hides her in his truck and gets her past the checkpoint at the door. Later, he stops by a hill and tells them everything they need to know about the Orbiter program and how it came to be. The program was made to help a person get used to being in space so that the launch to Celeste can go smoothly. He also tells Helena that her parents are still alive, but when she says she wants to meet them, he says she can't. It turns out that her parents are involved as well. Soon after, Alex and Helena arrive at his house, where Helena is surprised to see normal household items. She also sees Rain for the first time, which makes her very happy. The next day, Alex goes to see Sylvia and tells her what he did. Sylvia showed Alex who she really was because she was worried about the safety of her clients. She also promised to help Alex if anything went wrong. That night, Alex shows Helena around the city by taking her out. He buys her a range of food, which she has never had before because she lives alone. When Helena talks about the ocean, he takes her to an aquarium and shows her different kinds of fish. Alex takes Helena to his private office the next morning, where he has a bunch of computers set up. He says that it is where he watches the orbiters and keeps track of where they are going. Helena is upset by the invasion of her privacy, so she asks Alex how he could be involved in something so cruel. Alex tells her that it's for the good of all people. With all the information they got from the Orbiter project, they could send a real rocket to Celeste without any problems in the years to come. Alex takes Helena to a bar and introduces her to his friends in the next scene. A well-known doctor named Dr. Xiao is one of them. He asks Helena where she is from, but before she can answer, Alex comes up with a reason and changes the subject. He doesn't want anyone to know who Helena is at any cost. After a while, the group talks about what the Orbiter program means for the future and how it can help people in the long run. Alex thinks that the growth is good, but Dr. Xiao says that people should work on making Earth a better place instead of trying to find a new world. Alex sees spots on Helena's back one day and takes her to his friend, Dr. Xiao, for help. Xiao finds that Helena's skin is very sensitive, as if she has never been in the sun. He then sends her to get a full checkup and questions Alex about who she really is. Xiao thinks she has something to do with the Orbiter program, and Alex finally says something about it. That night, when Alex is out, Helena goes into his room while he is gone and starts looking through his files. She finds something shocking in one of these files. It turns out that she is not a child at all, but a clone instead. She then turns some pages and finds the address of her foster parents. Alex had told her a lie, which made her feel even worse. She gets her things and goes outside to find her parents. Later, when Alex gets home, he finds out that Helena has found out the truth about her genes. He looks upset, but there's nothing he can do to find her. Helena also finds her parents and tells them they left her behind. The mother, who seems to care about Helena, tells her that even though she is a clone, her genes come from people from many different ages, which makes her very healthy. Just then, Helena's father comes up behind her and ties her to the wall. He then calls Hugo, but Hugo's mother, to his surprise, knocks him out and helps Helena get away. A few hours later, she runs into Alex and yells at him for not telling her the truth. Alex can't say anything to protect himself, so he just says sorry and gives her a hug. But the trouble has only just started. Alex and Helena pack their things and leave when they find out that Hugo and his people know about the escape. The next day, Hugo meets up with Catherine, the main donor to the Orbiter project, and tells her what's going on. As expected, the boss isn't happy that one of her most important assets got away. Hugo asks Catherine for help, and she tells him to find Helena and kill her. Alex takes Helena to Sylvia, her longtime friend and confidant, and asks her for a place to stay. Sylvia is a nice person, so she is happy to help. But before she can show them out, she hears a knock on the door. When she goes outside, she finds Hugo and two guards with guns who are looking for Helena. He actually looked around Alex's room and found Sylvia's business card there. The men then stomped in and started looking around. Soon, they get to one of the therapy rooms, but don't realize that the couple is on the other side. Then Hugo tells Sylvia to turn on the screen. As soon as she does, Alex and Helena stop moving. They don't even blink because if they do, the fake dog will move and give them away. This goes on for a while, and when Sylvia refuses to give up the couple, one of the soldiers kills her. This makes the couple on the other side very scared, and they leave right away. But in the end, they are trapped when they reach a dead end. Alex wants to jump to another balcony because he has no other choice. He goes first, but when Helena's turn comes, she freezes up out of fear and is caught. Hugo and his men can just take her away while Alex watches. That night, Alex, who is upset, goes to the same bar and talks to his friend Xiao, who Hugo and his men reportedly also beat up. Xiao tells Alex that he is worried about him and tells him that Helena's test results are out. She can't stay in this setting, though, so she will have to go back inside the Orbiter 9 right away. Alex is crushed by the news, but it gives him an idea. Hugo then goes up to Catherine and asks her if he can get Helena back into the Orbiter program, but she says no because she thinks it will cost them a lot of money. She then tells him to kill Helena right away, so that the news doesn't get out to other places. Hugo starts planning for the euthanization as soon as he gets the order, but before he can end everything, Alex walks up to the building and offers Hugo a deal. Even though the second guy has already decided to kill Helena, he still lets Alex in for their friendship's sake. Alex doesn't waste any time in telling them that Helena is pregnant with his child. This child could be very important to their project. He then suggests that Helena be allowed to come back with him to the shuttle so that they can both raise their child in the setting. This would make the perfect pilot, so that in 20 years, he or she can lead the real rocket to Celeste. Hugo likes the idea, which is a surprise, and he lets the couple go back to the orbiter. In the last scene, it has been 20 years. Hugo, who is now old, waits outside of Orbiter 9 for a girl to come out of her bunker. This girl is likely Alex and Helena's kid. The girl gives someone behind her a smile, and then she looks up at the sky. The movie ends with the sound of the rocket getting ready to leave for Celeste. This means that the experiment worked. Anna, a single woman, is having a glass of wine before going to bed when the story begins. But when she lifts her head, she sees someone killing her friend by choking her. At first, she thinks she is dreaming, but when she looks more closely, she sees that the friend is being killed. In fact, Anna grabs her phone and calls to let them know. Then she chooses to run out of the house, but it's raining. Her legs get weaker and weaker, and Anna falls to the ground in a strange way. As she closes her eyes, the scene jumps back in time to a time when Anna's family was happy. She was happy with her husband and loved her daughter. One day, the school gives them an assignment: parents to take their kids to work so they can see what it's like there. So, Douglas, the father, takes their daughter Elizabeth to work with him. Rain starts to fall before they leave, so Anna buys Elizabeth an umbrella, but she had no idea that it would be the last time she saw him. Douglas is a forensic therapist who has studied serial killers for a long time. He takes Elizabeth to jail with him and puts her in a room where he can check on her. Right before the test starts, the guard asked Douglas to leave the room because there was something important going on. Then he shuts the door and locks the room by accident, but Douglas didn't remember that. Massacre Mike, a serial killer, is in the same room as his daughter. Not surprisingly, Mike makes the most of the chance and chooses Elizabeth as his 31st target. Anna's marriage to her husband fell apart after their daughter was killed, and as a result, the couple broke up. Anna has had a hard time getting over what happened, even though it's been a few years. And even worse, it was raining on that day, so she now has a fear of rain. To get over losing her daughter and her marriage falling apart, Anna is back to drinking wine every day. Anna's mind has been hurt by her sadness, and she says that sometimes she hears things and sees her dead daughter Elizabeth around the house. This has made her even more of a stranger in the neighborhood. The only guy she can trust is Buell, the community's handyman. He fixes broken mailboxes better than anyone else. Anna hasn't been on a date in a while, but one day, a handsome guy named Neil Coleman asks her out. When he moves into the house across the street, he has a crush on him right away. Neil is also a widower, and his daughter, Emma, is 9 years old, so she makes friends with Neil's daughter to get closer to him. But she soon finds out that Neil is dating a beautiful flight attendant, happened. Anna feels bad about flirting with Neil, so she chooses to stop. She still keeps an eye on Neil and his family, though. She sees Lisa being killed one night while she is drinking wine. Lisa can't be saved because she faints on the road because she's afraid of rain. Unexpectedly, a mystery person watches the whole thing and picks her up. Anna wakes up on her sofa, which is drenched. Anna had already called the cops, so they came and check out Neil's house. They don't find any dead bodies, though. Neil says that Lisa is a flight attendant who is now working on a plane, and Lisa confirms this. The city of Seattle. The cops then ask Anna about what happened, and when they see a bottle of wine and a pill on her table, they think she must have been dreaming and leave. But Anna knew she wasn't making things up. So the next morning, Neil and she talk. But like the others, Neil says Lisa is still out there, still living. He even shows some of the text messages he sent to Lisa this morning. Anna is still not sure, even though there is a lot of proof. She breaks into their house to look for more proof when they go to the store. Right by the window, she finds Lisa's earrings and keeps them with her, but she needs to find something else first. Neil and Emma come back home and catch her in the act. Then she is yelled at by the father and daughter for going beyond her limits, and then she was kicked out of the house. Anna goes to her friend Sloan, upset and ashamed, and tells him what happened. She tries to get help to examine the scene of the crime. Sloan also thinks she was dreaming, which makes her sad, and adding that she often sees her dead daughter. Anna starts to think that she is really seeing things, so she chooses to stop doing it. After her daughter died, she joined a support group and went there to talk. After that, Anna decides that she needs to get out of town after the meeting. At the airport, however, as she waits to buy a ticket, she finds out that there haven't been any trips to Seattle this coming week. Lisa had already left the day before for Seattle. She also finds out that Lisa is taking a long break. When Anna hears this, she starts to think that Neil killed his girlfriend. She goes to the police office in her town and talks to a detective named Lane. She shows Lisa's earring and asks the cop to look into it, but Lane says that there is not enough proof. Anna feels sad when she leaves the police office. Despite this, she keeps looking into it. When Elizabeth, Neil's daughter, was born, when a friend comes over to sell cookies, she earns her trust by giving her a lot of money. Anna asks the little girl if she heard anything strange the night before. Before the cops got there, Elizabeth isn't very talkative, but she says that her dad and Lisa were always fighting, and that's why she didn't like her. Neil had told her to turn on the TV. Because of this, Anna has even more doubts about Neil. She looked up Neil on the internet the next morning. She is shocked to find Neil was the main person to blame for the death of his late wife, but because there wasn't enough proof, he was let out. Some people say that he threw his wife into the water and watched as she died. Anna, who tends to think too much, starts to imagine the whole thing. Neil brought her wife to the docks, where he started acting mean to her for no reason. Then, while their daughter watched, he threw her into the water and laughed as she died. Even though it was all in her head, Anna thinks she can trust her gut. Anna also finds out that Emma's teacher died in a strange way a few days after Neil's wife was killed. Emma and her friends were on a school trip when the teacher, for some reason, disappeared. In a strange way, Neil is the only dad in the group shot. Anna thinks about what could have happened back then once more. She thinks that Neil knew the teacher and was friends with her, but the teacher turned them all down, so he pushed her down to her death in a fit of anger. Anna is more and more sure that Neil is to blame for all these deaths. She digs deeper into the case. That night, she sees Neil pulling a big duffel bag toward her, so she jumps in quickly, her car, and starts secretly following him. They come to an alley that looks shady, where Neil pulls over, gets out of his car, and puts the duffel bag near a trash can. But before Anna could do anything, Neil saw her, and they started fighting. Anna says that Neil is upset that people are always watching him and accusing him of being a killer. Anna wants to know the truth so badly that she opens the duffel bag. She finds a person, but not a real one. It was just a doll. Then it comes out that, to deal with the death of his wife, Neil started doing ventriloquism as a hobby. On the weekends, he goes to bars to sing and make people happy. Anna is ashamed again, and she says she's sorry a lot before leaving. Anna understands that she needs to stop having these dreams when she sees how obsessed she has been lately. So, she pours all of her drinks down the drain. She knows how hard Neil has had it. He deals with his losses by doing ventriloquism as a hobby, so she needs to do the same. She begins painting so she wouldn't think about her daughter's past. She starts a new life as the days go by, until one night, a wild dog somewhere far away finds Lisa's dead body in the woods. This proves that Anna wasn't really seeing things after all. The cops find the body the same night and arrest Anna, as her drawing brush was found to be a murder weapon. The cops have a feeling that Anna killed Neil's girlfriend because she was jealous of her, which makes sense. Anna is shocked, but she has no way to prove that she is not guilty. Lucky for her, her best friend showed up the next day. Sloane saves her and lets her go free on bail. Anna goes home, and that night she starts having dreams again. She sees blood dripping from her attic and knows right away that it came from her husband. She feels scared and calls her ex-husband, Douglas, who is a therapist. Anna fills him in on the blood and the fact that she could have been the one who killed Lisa. Even though they've been separated for years, Douglas calms down his ex-wife and tells her to keep going, to go up to the attic and face what she was afraid of. Anna is at first wary, but after a lot of pressure, she agrees. She slowly makes her way to the attic, where she is relieved to find that the red stuff hasn't spread. She also finds out that someone has been living in her attic for some time. When she questions him, a scared Bill tells her that he has been living there in secret for months. Anna has been hearing things around the house because of this. After a while, she calls Douglas again and tells him what's going on. Buell was his first case with a mental illness. He was in jail because he had killed his whole family. After many tests, he was said to be crazy, but Douglas helped him get better. A few months later, he was finally let out of jail. Douglas pushed him to work as well, so he started working as a handyman. When Anna hears all of this, she thinks that Buell's evil side has come back, and now he's killing people one by one. She can't believe it when she sees Buell carrying a hammer as he walks through the rain to Neil's house. She runs outside because she is afraid the killer will kill Neil. Anna gives in to her fear and falls to the ground, but just before she gives up, she suddenly finds herself in the jail cell just before her daughter Elizabeth does. Massacre Mike shot and killed him. She also remembers that no one helped her little girl. After remembering all of these things, Anna is determined not to let another little girl die, killed by a sick serial killer. So she slowly makes her way to Emma's house and gets into it, but what she sees there shakes her to her very core. Anna finds Buell lying near the door, badly hurt. Anna's package had been sent to her by mistake. Soon, he dies, and Anna feels awful for him, even thinking that Buell did it when he has tried so hard to change. She hears Neil and Emma talking in the living room at that moment, having the idea that Neil is the serial killer. Anna moves quickly to help the little girl, but to her surprise, Neil is dead on the couch when she comes home. This is when Anna finally figures out that Lisa was killed, but neither Neil nor Bill did it. Emma is found to be the criminal, who comes out from behind holding a bloody knife and grinning evilly. Emma talks about that adults always think too little of children and what they can do. Anna, who is shocked, asks Emma how and why she killed Lisa, and then, like most bad people, she admits to her crimes. In a memory, we then see that Emma asked Lisa to stay with her before she went to the airport. This made Emma very angry, so she went up to Lisa with a knife and said, "Chocolate is mine." Not the worst thing someone can put in their body before stabbing Lisa in the neck. Anna is confused because Neil was also at home when Lisa was killed, but he didn't do anything. Nothing at all. Emma says that Neil was in the bathroom on the second floor. He didn't want anyone to see him practice his ventriloquist act, so he left the water running. She also says that she killed her father because Neil forced her to watch one of his movies. Terrible acts by a ventriloquist. Anna calls her a monster because she is horrified by how cruel she is. But Emma quickly says that her mother was the monster, not her. The bad woman became pregnant. Emma didn't like that at all because she wanted all the attention for herself, and Emma used the whole summer to finish off her mother and her baby brother or sister, taking down a dock's wooden platform when her trip was over. She got her mother to come over to the thin platform, as was planned. The poor woman fell into the water, but Emma was so cruel that she just let her die. Emma wants to kill Anna and make it look like she did all the killings, and say she killed Anna to protect herself. What Emma says is Anna is the right person to blame because it's easy to label her as crazy. It also turns out that when Emma went to Anna's house to sell her Girl Scout cookies, she took Anna's palette knife. Anna can't believe how much the little girl has planned, so she calls her crazy. Even so, this makes Emma even more angry, and she says that her teacher also used to call her names. Her crazy until she killed her by pushing her off the tower. After she says this, She throws a knife at Anna and even gets a knife in her stomach. Anna is able to fight back, though. The house gets messed up. Anna tries to find Neil's gun. Emma is the first to find it, and she shoots her in the shoulder. Anna is angry and calls her a whore. He runs at her and hits her hard enough to knock the gun out of her hand. But the psychopathic person girl again gets the upper hand and smashes a plate on Anna's head, which seems to kill her. In the meantime, Douglas goes to Anna's house out of worry for her safety, as he can't reach her since she found Buell living in her attic and he can't get there. Emma calls 911 and tells the operator she killed her mother. After her father was killed by her crazy neighbor, she killed him to protect herself. But at that time, Anna starts to move again, which shows that she is still living. So angry, Emma quickly ends the call and picks up the knife to kill Anna for good. She sits on top of her target, and as she's about to deal the finishing blow, Anna picks up a piece of broken plate and stabs Emma in the heart, killing her for good. Then he runs to Anna's side and asks her to stay with him, telling her that everything will be fine. A few weeks after the crime, Anna is found not guilty because Douglas lied. There was a lot of evidence against Emma, but there was also a lot of evidence in her favor. 1 year later, we see Anna again as she gets on a plane to New York, and our character orders a glass of vodka with a smile. Woman who tells Anna she's going to New York for something she doesn't say. Even so, Anna takes a short nap. When she wakes up, she finds the stranger dead in the bathroom on an airplane. She tells the staff about it right away, but to her shock, they say that there was no one sitting in seat 2A. In addition, there was no body or any sign of the crime in the bathroom. There will be too many people on Earth in 2039. People are on the verge of leaving. According to the United Nations, every nation must reduce its population by 5% per year. Every year, the students of the school must take a normal exam. Those who fail the exam are murdered by being injected with medication. Lena Michaels begins the film by assisting a high school student named Simon with his schoolwork. She pulls a box of lenses from her purse and hands them to him. Simon can answer all of the math problems as soon as he puts them on. We meet Edward Blake Redding. He slips out of his home at night and drives his automobile to Ellie Harper's place. Blake begins to discuss the upcoming exam the next day. Ellie is concerned, but Blake assures her a security guard for Blake's father discovered them and returned Blake to Dean's office. Dean is irritated that Blake left the night before such a critical exam. He believes Blake is too preoccupied to pay attention to Ellie. The exam is scheduled for the next day. A large crew of students had formed outside the school. They must first pass through a comprehensive security check before being allowed in. Blake requests one of Lena's study glasses, but she has already given them all away. Lena's buddy, Kellen Woods, one of the children's arms, stated cheaters. When he is apprehended, he attempts to flee. The guards arrest him. No one has ever avoided or cheated on an exam. Inside the school, Blake and Ellie have one more embrace before entering the exam room. The exam will begin shortly. The exam must be completed in 2 hours. To fix the challenges, everyone begins to utilize their tablets. Lena effortlessly answers all of them and is the first person to complete the problem. Kellen, her companion, seems to be experiencing difficulties. They get the findings immediately after the exam. The instructor is announcing the names of a few students who failed the exam. Students are concerned and hope that the issue will be resolved shortly. Those who do not pass are taken by the guards. They scream and struggle with the guards, and some even attempt to flee. If a student resisted, the guard would beat them up. Ellie, Blake's girlfriend, is called at the last minute by the instructor, and the guards whisk her away. He immediately calls his father and asks him to assist Ellie, but his father disagrees, claiming that the rule applies to everyone. Because he is outraged, he rushes to rescue her. He assaults the guards and urges Ellie to go, but she refuses. Nobody was able to leave. Blake continues to attempt to assist Ellie, but he is powerless to do anything. After a year, the shrinking test will begin in 24 hours. The doorbell rings. Ms. Birch, Lena's teacher, has treated Lena and Corinne as if they were her own children since their mother died. Blake is creating a video in his room. While all of this is going on, he intends to teach his father a lesson by providing all incorrect answers on the exam. Let's fast forward to exam day. Corinne attends the same kindergarten as Lena. Corinne's class watches a video that depicts the present status of the Earth and how all nations must reduce their population by 5% per year in order to preserve it. Some governments impose restrictions, such as allowing a couple to have just one child, while others murdered the elderly. In America, however, the government opted to retain just the finest and slaughter the rest. These youngsters are no exception. The youngsters' test will then begin. Some of the youngsters will be murdered, which saddens their teacher. Fortunately, Corin did well on the exam. Lena and Kellen go to school as well to take their exams. The exam begins and concludes swiftly. Meanwhile, Governor Dean discovers Blake's tape and becomes enraged. He phones the test director, Mason King, and orders him to give Blake a passing mark regardless of the outcome. Mason gives Lena his score instead of hers, causing her to fail. The test results come in, and everyone is astonished to hear Lena's name announced. She fared poorly on the exam. Ms. Birch intervenes as the guards take her away, stating that she is her finest pupil. She hands Lena a key card, allowing her to exit. Blake is taken aback by the fact that he did not fail. The students who performed well attended a school party to celebrate. Dean is also making a public announcement as governor that he will run for president of the United States. He boasts about their excellent educational system. Because of their strategy, they have the greatest education out of 196 nations, and crime is decreasing by 26%. Blake attends the celebration and hears his father speak. He then slips away from the celebration. He sneaks into the corridor without being seen and beats one of the guards. He then heads to the control room. Lena and the other failing pupils are placed in a room against a wall. They must remove all of their clothing so that they may be cleansed. Lena and the others are then escorted to a chamber where they will be murdered by a deadly shot. Blake abruptly cuts off the electricity, leaving the whole campus in darkness. The children who are going to be slain use this opportunity to flee and attempt to flee. But with the exception of Lena, none of them are successful. She exits the room using the keycard that her instructor handed her. Mason soon enters the room and inquires as to how many people are there. They begin seeking Lena after learning she has gone missing. Blake locates Lena and assists her in fighting off a guard. As they converse, they discover that Blake and Lena's scores have been altered. They both hide an event and trace the network lines to the server room, where they can see the findings on a computer. The school is still entirely closed due to the power outage. The information spreads and is shared with everyone in the state. Outside, the parents are becoming concerned. Mason is called by the governor to find out what's going on. One of the vents under Blake burst, leading him to tumble into the pool below. She pursues him. When she takes him out of the water, he is not breathing. Lena performs CPR on him and miraculously saves his life. Blake and Lena change into clothing they found in a pool locker. They continue via the ducts until they reach the server room, but there is a guard standing in front of the entrance. Lena's keycard also falls through the vent in front of the guard. She needs to find out how to get the card back since he doesn't see it. Her idea is to go to the science lab and draw the key through the vent with a magnet and a piece of thread. So they head down to the lab to grab the necessary instruments. However, in the lab, they emit a little noise that alerts the guard. They attempt to flee swiftly, but Blake is trapped in the lab as Lena returns to the vents, looking for the keys. She makes it halfway up before a guard takes it. Blake, on the other hand, was just pretending to be a guard. He'd beaten the guard and changed his clothing. Soon after, the guard, who had been assaulted earlier by the two of them, notified Mason about them. He informs them that Lena has a keycard. Mason summons all of the instructors because he believes someone has given it to the children. Ms. Birch flirts with one of the other instructors in the room and ends up snatching his keycard. Mason is still searching for the instructors' ID cards and key cards. Birch avoids controversy by showing them the card. Mason makes the other instructor pledge that if he doesn't receive his, he will tell them where Lena is. But when Mason hits him, he claims that he knows nothing. Lena finally makes it to the server room. She enters the computer using the keycard, but Mason has set up a password to keep others out. She then texts Kellen, who is skilled at hacking, begging him to allow her in. After some time, Kellen receives Lena's SMS. He demonstrates how to use Mason's PC. Lena then checks her results and discovers that, despite receiving 98%, she failed, while Blake received 15% and passed. She does further research and discovers that Ellie received an 88% and failed, but others with lower grades passed. Lena is aware that the grading system is set up in such a way that the governor may fail whomever he likes. Lena gives Kellen a file with the modified markings. However, the electricity is quickly restored, and Mason realizes she is in the server room. Lena discovers the truth and flees. Mason, on the other hand, catches her virtually as soon as she moves. Blake, on the other hand, is still not himself. He's among the failing children. He instructs the guard to transport them, along with the other pupils, to the exercise hall. but the guard refuses, so they fight. Kellen receives Lena's message and is surprised to learn that the results have been altered. Kellen knows a news reporter, so he immediately writes an email to the station. The news was broadcast, and the fight's outcome was shown in the results. After the photos circulate, the governor receives a call from the leader of his party, who informs him that he may lose his bid for president. Dean Redding doesn't want that to happen, so he blames Mason and pretends he's innocent. He attempts to demonstrate this but fails, so he kills everyone who fails, even his own son, Blake. Mason and the guards lead Lena to the chamber where victims are slaughtered at the school. Blake is also in that room. Mason calls Dean to inquire whether they should proceed with the murder of the children. Dean, on the other hand, orders him to stop. He wants the children who have failed, including his own son, to be executed. The guards let Lena and the other pupils who had passed the exam out. Lena kisses Blake, but the soldiers drag him and the others away. They kill them by administering medication through an IV. When the lockdown is lifted, Lena will be able to visit her younger sister, Corinne, and Ms. Birch once again. The corpses of the students who were slain were hauled downstairs in an elevator a few hours later. When the kids begin to move, it is evident that the medicine they were given caused them to be drowsy. They come to a halt as they reach what seems to be a factory. It's full of products made by Ashuru Global, a tech corporation. Many individuals work in the workplace. Then Blake discovers that one of them is his girlfriend, Ellie.